A canyon people's portrait must begin with the canyons. Folklore or fact? Did the rollaway saloon really exist? If it did, it was a pure manifestation of the entrepreneurial spirit and ingenuity of the canyon.
Just a shack in the shade of a cottonwood tree on the Arizona-Utah border.
Out Johnson Canyon way, there's a bluff where you can see tracks of both an adult and a young dinosaur on top of the bluff. And then down below, the cliff walls have petroglyphs made by the ancestral Puebloans that display the same pattern. The ancient human inhabitants of the land were aware of the even more ancient animal inhabitants. What was their message to us in those petroglyphs and pictographs? Was it more than mere awareness? Were Melissa Hinton's Navajo ancestors the ones who wrote them?
Red sand and stone spires reach skyward. Buttes, canyons, and mesas tell.
Fire was a constant necessity in pioneer life. Cooking, heating, washing, blacksmithing, they all required fire.
Levi, there's the kitchen hall of fame. And as the fire and smoke and panic run, we've shouted and we've shouted and we've shouted Marjorie's name. We fear she's gone into the blaze to find your young sons. We fear she's gone to find your sleeping sons.
I suppose we will survive, and I suppose we will repair. Rise up from the wreckage, ever heavy, heavy. Every time there's a fire or a light, you will be there. Hang on, it's what'll see me through. Hang on.
But when our food was gone and we had nowhere else to turn, we came to an understanding understanding that we could fight or we could learn to pull together to plant the seeds that'll make it so we all can live. Move a little our point of view, less take and a whole lot more of give. Sure.
A one-armed Civil War veteran named John Wesley Powell was America's preeminent explorer and natural scientist in the 1870s. Tales of his daring descents of the unexplored Colorado River made headlines across the world. Powell made Kanab his headquarters for a season as his team explored and mapped the great American West. At first, he purposely located a mile away from town to keep a safe distance away. But the more he interacted with the Mormon settlers, hiring them as helpers, buying supplies from them, the more he grew to like them. And he finally moved his headquarters into town, calling it the most agreeable place to be. And the townspeople welcomed him with open arms. Never had a town celebrity bigger than they'd ever said he'd be. Kick up your heels and let the hound dog howl. Famous by this time tomorrow, he gonna make a map and put us in the middle of it somehow. Thomas Chamberlain was a leader in the order from its inception and was bishop of the order for most of its 10-year existence. Thomas, who eventually had 6 wives and 55 children, was, with his 2 counselors, responsible for assigning stewardships to Orderville's 500-plus residents and managing the concerns of all of them.
I look around in my town and see work what needs doing. Of course, and if this all can't be done for the set of the sun,
well, we may need help outside the family.
Young men want to stand out, to be noticed, especially by young women. That was tough to do in Orderville, where everyone wore the same style clothing, all made by the town weavers and tailors. Nobody stood out. The elders sent a scout to follow some of the young men late at night. He followed them to the tool shed where the knives were sharp.
The Orderville girls, they all want to dance with the Kane County kid in the store-bought pants. The Orderville girls, they all want to dance. Back in 1874 in the United Order, you had your chore.
No, it would likely just be a utilitarian print so that that dress afterwards could be used as her special occasion dress for parties, dances, church meetings, etc. And her old dress would become her everyday dress, her work dress. Now, when that old dress wore out, would she throw it away? No. Absolutely not. She unpicked the stitching, find the usable parts of the fabric, and make perhaps shirts for the little boys. Now, when those shirts wore out and became torn and tattered, did she throw them away? No. Absolutely not. She'd simply unpick that stitching, find the usable pieces, and piece together quilt squares from which she would make a quilt.
When you've got next to nothing means a lot. Each little scrap's a treasure, so we treasure all we've got. Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. Frugality is how we all survive.
The wives of several of Kanab's prominent men complained so much about how the men were running the town that the men, to teach them a lesson and as a joke, put the women's names on the ballot in the elections for mayor and town council.
We didn't ask for this, it was just a joke. But we've been elected fair and square by all our city folk. Now you're throwing fits and poking fun. Well, step aside, boys, while we get the job done.
The story of the Rollaway Saloon is writer's gem. The owner of the Rollaway Saloon was not a favorite of the wives of the cowpokes of Kanab and the buckaroos of Fredonia. On payday, they'd stop off at the Rollaway Saloon before going home, and would arrive home much later and far poorer for the stop. The fact that the saloon was built on log rollers, and the fact that the bartender could see them and their dust cloud coming from a long way off made it pretty near impossible to catch him on the wrong side of the border.
Roll away, roll away, roll away. Here comes the rollaway saloon.
Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, John Wayne, John Ford, Clint Eastwood, and scores of others called Kanab home for weeks at a time. But some of the extras on the movie sets were the real thing. Cowboys who knew that what they portrayed on screen was far from the reality of cowboy life. Kanab songwriter Rachel Findlay had some words of advice for those who would marry a real-life cowboy.
Be kind to your cowboy wherever he rides. He's needing a love that is true.
Pioneering is doing something that takes you far outside your comfort zone, puts you at risk, and requires you do it with far less than adequate resources. And you have to do it not for yourself, but for the benefit of those who are following or will follow after you. Their story echoes the themes that have reverberated through these canyons forever and will continue as long as there are canyon people.
There's a sun-drenched land in the shimmering west, where creatures great and small dwell in peace, and kind souls are busy night and day, tending to the least of these. Homeless no more, beloved evermore, because the angels built a kingdom for the beast. Because the angels built a kingdom for the beast.